Good evening and welcome to Talk Football. You with Dan, Jesse, and Annie. He's just getting his earphones. Premier League match week 3 review. Manchester United getting 3 points on the board. Liverpool are in a mess in the midfield. Serious problems going on there. Very well played from United. Had a really good game tonight. City dropped some points as well away at Newcastle. Big surprise there. Not a last minute winner, but a late winner for Tottenham. So we've got a few games we're going to be discussing. So anyway, boys, how are we? 2 United fans must be happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy because these boys showed me they can do it. Now the question is, can they do it consistently? Is the next question. Like, they've shown us they can put up performance. Let's see what happens against Southampton next week.
No, 100%, definitely.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I saw what I wanted to see for the first time in about 12 months. So I'm happy about the performance, but like Annie's saying, will they do it again? I very much doubt it because they've given me no reason to believe that they can do it again. So that's kind of where I'm at. A little bit of mixed feeling. This gives, and I know that the Glazers aren't leaving anyways, but it gives me, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? Because I want to see them put under pressure, but games like this just buy them another 2 weeks to 2 months of time and less pressure. So between that and the Casemiro signing, they knew exactly what they were doing, getting that over the line and unveiling him before the game. And then this result on top of that, just a mixed bag, isn't it? So
it's the icing on the cake, isn't it? So we may as well just go from the top and then discuss the United game at the end. So, yes, Spurs. We watched this match together. They had the early kickoff, 1-0 against Wolves at the top there, mate. I wasn't overly impressed with the attack in front of Tottenham. I don't know what you boys thought, but not luck, but they didn't create anything in that first half. This attacking line that people have made such big talk about, Son, Kane, Richarlison, all these players, Kulusevski are going to be coming in. I mean, I thought they'd have more goals, and Wolves have not been brilliant. What did you make of this match?
Did you watch it, Annie?
Not really. No, I was working, so I didn't get a chance to catch a few of these games, but I've watched some highlights, but I didn't catch the Spurs one specifically. But from what people were telling me, Spurs' front line looks slightly meaty. Like, even Kulusevski, like he started off hot and now he seems like he's just lost the fire that he had at the beginning, where he was like, do you remember towards the end of last season and the beginning of this one, he looked like he was doing a lot, but right now Spurs' front line, it took like a late winner for them to win this game. So
yeah. And to be fair, Wolves had the lion's share of the chances, to be honest with you. They had a number of good chances. Mateus Nunes, who made his start there, he was brilliant.
Howler that you lot didn't buy him. I'm going to get onto that later.
That's the thing, I'll get onto that later. It's going to be one of those things where, we saw him, he had created loads of chances, shots that, very close. Not too many on target, to be fair. They didn't only have 3 shots on target, but the chances were being created there. Do you know what I mean? It was an interesting game, to be honest with you, and Tottenham were less than convincing.
Yeah. To be honest, actually, as we were watching the game, Wolves were fully in control this entire match. Tottenham were not putting up much of a fight. They were sitting back at home, which if I were a home fan, I wouldn't want to see that. But we know how Conte plays ball. Wolves should have won this game in a lot of ways, and I don't think that it's good value for money to say the Spurs deserve 3 points. A draw at the most, but even then, I think Wolves really controlled this game. Disappointing for Wolves, but that's what you get when you do end up having that quality up front. I don't think that the front three for Tottenham played very well, but at the end of the day, that's what you get when you have, 2 clinical finishers, and Kulusevski is looking to be that sort of player who can get assists and goals as well. Kane just came out and bagged, but I don't think that anyone can say that Spurs deserve this at all.
No, not at all. I mean, and that was it. I remember kind of something I mentioned when we were watching the game or during the game. I said I was a bit concerned. Like, is this going to be one of those games where, as you can see, the possession, they had to sacrifice practically 50-50 possession. This doesn't work in Tottenham's favour. Tottenham's favour works when a team likes to have the ball. Where Wolves, what we noticed is whenever the Spurs had the ball in their defence, Wolves were like that. Okay, have the ball. Yeah. They didn't care. They could not have cared less. And I think honestly, if they don't get the finishing right over at Tottenham, which they have got those players. But if they do have an off day and they come up against a team who just says, "Yeah, you have the ball," it's going to be I think they're going to drop some points. If that's the way that they play, they're going to need a plan B, because today Plan A just about came off, but Plan B, it was. I didn't think they had one, to be honest. I didn't see Plan B at all.
Yeah, my worry for Wolves. Hold on, let me chime in. My worry for Wolves is their attack. If Neto actually does go to join Arsenal, but even though Wolves says he's not for sale, that's just who do they have enough time to bring someone in? I don't know.
I really don't know. Just real quick, I just want to get this. Jamie, thanks for tuning in, man. Keep the Liverpool stuff for the end when we go through United and Liverpool, because we'll definitely talk about it. But we just want to shoot through these teams real quick. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one. But Wolves, they looked a lot better than they had been in the first two games. First two games looked really poor, to be honest, but they look like they turned up a little bit today. So it's going to be an interesting one. Right, well, we'll jump on to the next one. Kind of not too much there to think about. Crystal Palace against Villa. Now, this was a really interesting game, to be honest. This was pressure game again for Steven Gerrard, and to be fair, a little bit for Patrick Vieira. But after that draw, pressure was off, and this was a really entertaining game. But something was proven: Aston Villa do not have a defence. They can't defend for their life.
Without the new signings, they look so subpar. Like I said, Mings. I don't see what Southgate sees in Mings that he wants to take him in the England squad. Like, he's not good. He's not good at all.
None of them are good. Mings was terrible. They got the goal. Villa got that goal, and it was like, right, but they did exactly what they did against Everton in the previous game. Conceded immediately. They completely switched off. Completely. Yep. Forget about it. We won't defend, and conceded. Crystal Palace, really worth the good value. I didn't get to watch this. I only watched the first half. This was a 3:00 game, so you boys will have to just take a little bit of the lead for me to tell me what you made of the game. But from the outset, it looked like this was Crystal Palace's game.
Wilfried Zaha was doing the madness. Wilfried Zaha. Do you know what? We're going to give Wilfried Zaha his props, because out of all the players at Palace, he could have gone anywhere else, but he stayed at Palace, and he's being their linchpin. Like, he's done everything he needs to do. He makes the runs. He has the trickery. He has the finishes. Like, he's the one that scored the goal against Liverpool last week Monday. So he's the guy dragging Palace up the table. Like, they're doing well. And I want to see let's see how they tackle Man City, because normally people expect Man City to roll everyone over, but I feel like Palace could do a job on them.
Yeah, no, they could definitely do a job on them. Palace didn't start off great against Arsenal. They look a little bit like they just weren't sharp. Now they're starting to come into their own. What I will say about like having Wilf in the side is that he is the leader in that team at this point in time, and it shows when he plays. And the kids do a lot. They really do, but he's definitely the leader in that side. Bringing on Mateta for, I think, IU was also a really good decision.
Yeah.
I mean, IU just doesn't. I don't see what he provides the team. I mean, Twisted can let me know, but I know Twisted's not a massive fan either. So I think Mateta's starting to come into his own. I still don't know if he's like the level, but he's definitely a better option. And so I would start starting him. So.
No, 100%. And things are going well there for Crystal Palace, and they well deserved this result. I mean, I think I went with a 1-1 draw, and it was coming in at one point because they could have seen that. They had the attacking options. This is what Villa have. The problem is they have no defence. Genuinely, there's no defenders there who I could see that are doing well. And just looking at that message there, Gerrard getting sacked. To be fair, he's been told that they've got the backing of he's got the backing of the owners, Christian Purslow, and everyone is happy with what Gerrard's got. The one thing that needs to be said though about this is, if anyone has watched Villa, you can't be happy with the levels that these players are giving you. Like, you can't just keep blaming the manager when these players keep letting you down, though, man. When you watch them, you go, Danny Ings not finishing chances, or Ollie Watkins not finishing chances, because this is the first goal he scored, and I don't know how long, to be fair. It's been a long time since Ollie Watkins put the ball in there. How many chances and times are the players going to let them down? How many times is Tyrone Mings and that back line that they have at Aston Villa going to do the stuff that they do? He can't help that. I mean, it's not me backing Gerrard. It's just saying, if that's what those players do, I mean, what more can you do? Who do you blame? You have to blame the players. If the players are playing badly, it's their fault. It's as simple as that. Diego Carlos got the injury. Bang, what do you do?
If you've got people like, what's their left back? Oh, what's his name?
Luka Dean
putting in own goals, or Matty Cash getting caught out of position. Like, what can you do? Like we said, these guys are supposed to be a set. Like, I thought these guys would be more set because they looked more set last season, and towards the end of the season, it seemed like they had something, but then you look at that City game at the end of the season, like, these guys had chances to finish the game, but defensively they let City walk through them. So Gerrard has a tough task on his hand.
It's a big job at Villa, and I am more and more leaning towards as to whether or not Aston Villa is the right job for him. I don't think it's right so far. Things could change, but I am concerned for him as it being whether I believe, and I'll still back him. You don't go invincible and take the title away from Celtic if you're not a decent manager. The difference is, is this the right team? Is those Villa players who have loads of quality, are they going to step up? So, I mean, that's the question. But, yeah, fair play to Crystal Palace. Really good result at home. 3 goals. Wilfred Zaha doing the business. 3 goals in 2 games. Spot on. Really, really well. Now, this is the game that brings tears to my eyes. Everton versus Nottingham. Everything was going so well. My 1-0 Nottingham Forest was on till the last bleeding minute. Yeah, listen, I don't know if this is a good result for either team, to be honest with you. What do you boys make of this? Like, do you think this is a good result for Forest?
No,
I think
because they gave the lead. No. Like, on paper, you would say it is. But ultimately, I don't think it is a great result for Forest. Everton are in woeful form, and Nottingham had control of the game for the most part. Everton looked really, really weak in attack, as you would expect. But they didn't look great, and you would expect away from home, Nottingham putting in a good performance. Really, it would have been better if they just got over the line. So I think it's a bad result in context is really what I would say there. But yeah, I
mean, because I watched Dean Henderson. I mean, to be fair, he made some really, really good saves, and I think he's going to, he was a brilliant loan. Was he a buy? Was he a purchase?
He's a loan. He's a
loan deal. He's done really, really well getting that loan deal there, and he's really showing himself. I mean, he's burned his bridges at United. He ain't coming back after what he said. That's done. That's toast. To be honest, but I watched this match, and this was a game I gave some interest in because I kind of had my opinions on it. And Forest were doing me right. Don't get me wrong, Everton had some good chances, but Dean Henderson was more than up to the match. But Forest had a lot of good chances, in that first half. I missed the second half because I had to be out for the second half of the games. But yeah, really, really well. Nottingham Forest would be really disappointed, to be honest with you, in not getting the 3 points here, to be honest, and seeing the game out, because Everton and Nottingham Forest, in my opinion, will probably be in and around the same position in the league. And this was sort of one of those, not a 6-pointer, but it could mean all the difference. Do you know what I mean? Those extra 2 points for the winner could be, that difference between finishing 14th and finishing 16th. things can really change down that bottom half of the table, and the way things are going, Liverpool will be joining them. So as we've got it there, I mean, it's not a good result for Everton because they needed a win, but it's not a good result for Nottingham Forest because it was in their hands to get these 3 points, and I thought they were good value for it, to be honest.
But they need to learn how to score more goals because they can't be going through this season with just one pick up 1-0s and pick up 1-1s or somewhere, because at some point you're going to be dragged into that bottom half and you're going to be like, oh, how did we get here? Like, they've made like 16 or 17 signings. Their owner doesn't play about when it comes to signings. Like, he spent 44 million on Gibbs White. So I expect Forest to be pushing towards the top half of the table.
Yeah, you'd expect so, wouldn't you, with the kind of players and the calibre of the players that they brought in? It's getting them to gel, but Jamie hits the right point there, being is that they could go down as one of those teams, who go like how many points drop from winning positions, and you could see Nottingham Forest potentially being one of those teams, you know what I mean? But yeah, next game, not too much excitement going on with that one. Moving on, Fulham Brentford. Now this was a game that's full of excitement.
This was a
Mitrovic.
This was it, the last minute winners. Yeah, Fulham, Brentford. I mean, we thought Brentford were about to do the great escape once again, having been 2-0 down to Fulham quite early on in the first half. Really, really good result for them to get that. Would have been a really good result for Brentford, it kind of shows the levels within the Premier League as to how things can change one week after the next. Dragged themselves back in the game, 2-2, and then Fulham last minute winner. They're looking strong at home. This is something Fulham are going to benefit from. Their home form's going to be really, really good. It needs to be really good this season, but they're benefiting from it. I mean, did anyone catch any of this game? I only saw the highlights.
Fulham were performing really, really well, but then Brentford's class. I mean, like the actual level of players started to take over. Andres Pereira looked really good. Mitrovic looked okay. He did get the goal. Ivan Toney's goal was
that was beautiful, Jess.
A good take. He takes it on the half turn on his right foot, takes it across his body, and just arcs it around and then just bangs it bottom corner. It was a fucking beautiful goal. Excuse my language.
He deserves it. No, Jess, you're right. He deserves it because they called off how many offside goals did they call off him? It was like 2.
Yeah, I think he should have
2 offside.
Right?
Yeah, he should have at least had a hat trick, but he was. I told people Ivan Toney's not bad. Like Chelsea, you could use Ivan Toney in attack. He can put balls in the back of the net, unlike some people you have up front. But we'll get onto that later.
100%. One win against Brentford, 6 to 8 attempts. Yeah, to be fair, that's it. They look one of those bogey teams where they've beat the hoodoo, haven't they? So, yeah, really good result there for Fulham, especially against Brentford, because you'd had Brentford down as favourites to get a result away from home here. But Fulham came out there and they did what they needed to do, and these points could be massive for them come the end of the season. So, yeah, fair play to Fulham. They're going to need Mitrovic to stay fit, though. They're going to need him big time.
Yeah, if he gets injured, I don't know who's scoring the goals for them. I really don't. Andreas has stepped in from United into Fulham, and he looks like pre-season Pirlo, Jess. He looks like pre-season Pirlo, and he actually looks like he wants to play football. But let's see. It's only 3 games in. Let's see how he does for the rest of the season.
Well, one of the things about Andreas, which we've been saying about him at United, is like preseason. Yeah, he's our preseason Pirlo, or he was. But he also, everywhere else he's gone, he performs to a certain level. I really think he's just found his cup of tea. Like, he found his level a little bit there. And he is one of the main guys. And yeah, really, without Andreas creating for Mitrovic, they're a little screwed. So they need to keep them both fit and happy. So
100%. Right, next game. What have we got coming up next? We have Leicester Southampton. I am in the mud with this one. Back to Leicester to get the result here, and it was all happening.
Told you.
It was all happening.
I told you.
It was on. The 1-0 was there, wasn't it?
I told you Southampton were going to pick up. Che Adams. Did he score goal of the season already? Goal of the season was in this game, wasn't it? I think so.
It was
like
it was it's the little scissor kick, but then there was that free kick. What was it?
From who was it?
Who did it?
Was it Madison or Ward-Prowse?
Madison. Was it Ward-Prowse? It was someone. I can't remember, but it was later on in the week, and it might have been yesterday, actually, to be fair. But anyways, we'll get into it. Anyways, there was another free kick that was like perfectly placed, which is really good. But yeah, Shea Adams, sorry.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Was elite. Like, it was so good. So yeah. But
Just open up the game there. Yeah, Che Adams. Did he come in off? Did he come in off the bench? Did he?
Was he off the bench or did he? I think he started. Did he start? Jess, you've seen this one. Did he start?
We're about to find out. I think he started, by the way.
Let's sure he started.
No, he came off the bench.
I told you. So Che Adams has come. I'll say it now. Then Che Adams came to Southampton's rescue. Then, shall we say? In all fairness, no. Genuinely, the reason why I put this down as Leicester is this was a must-win after a disappointing result against Brentford, dropping 2 goals to them, losing quite rapidly against against Arsenal, which we all expected. But then to go in against Southampton, who you'd have thinking, right, pressure's on now. Second home game of the season against Southampton. They got the 1. They went 1-0 up, and I was thinking, there you go. That's the result. That's what they'll get. They'll get that 1-0, and all the pressure will go off. The problem now is pressure's mounting. Pressure's mounting on Brendan Rodgers, big time. And that was what I was backing. I was backing the idea. That's the one that we need to look at. That's the one that they need to say as to whether or not we are going to do something with Brendan Rodgers or sack him. I think for a second now, I think he's gone. I think give him 2-3 more games. He's gone. He's not doing well at all. And this was a massively. I mean, look at the possession: 62-38. More passes, more possession, better passing, 81%. 1 shot on target. There's your problem. There's your issue. One shot.
One shot.
Just before, because we have Brendan Rodgers as potentially one of the first ones to get sacked. We're looking at him, sideways, as most people are. But I did see a report today that Leicester City's owners are considering selling up. There might be something there. I don't see them sacking a manager if they're planning. If there are actual buyers circling, I just don't see why you would spend the money. You know what I mean?
Well, apparently, the reason Rodgers can't be sacked, and this is, as I say, I'm not verified on this one, but apparently his clause is around £25 million is his compensation. Jesus. He had an incredibly high compensation payment, and I believe that could be what's keeping him where he is, because I believed that he'd be gone before the start of the season, because they're not backed him. There's no signings, and they've allowed players to be sold. So
I think it's because they're selling up that they haven't put any players down.
So there's nothing there. There's nothing going on there. But Che Adams and Oliver Burke win 3 points for their teams. Leicester and Dortmund getting done by the Scottish. Fair enough. Great result there. Great result there for Southampton. 3 points. Pressure mounts at Leicester 100%. Right, next game. Bournemouth Arsenal. This is Arsenal. There's no shocks here. I said 2-0. I didn't think it would be a demolition. It wasn't quite a demolition. Bournemouth quickly conceded those goals, and Arsenal did the job. You know what I mean? They really did do the job, but it was 2 early goals there, and then basically a little bit of quietness all the way through until the end. There, do you know what I mean? It was nothing spectacular, but it was a great professional performance from Arsenal. Really good professional performance.
Yeah, we have to give props to City Light, as we call them, because literally they're going about their business and winning. Like, they're winning 3. They've won their 3 games. It's fine, but my thing is they haven't played anyone seriously yet. Everyone's like Palace. Palace wasn't ready for that Arsenal game, so we can't really say Palace yet. So we have to see how they fare against. I think their first big test is against United, and that's in 2 weeks.
That's going to be a really, really interesting game. Really interesting.
So we have to see how United are. Yeah, so you have to see how United are going into that game and how Arsenal go into that game. Because if United play like they kind of did today, it'd be an interesting game. And then it'd be nice to see these two go at it at least.
No, this is it. I mean, Arsenal are taking well advantage of having three teams that you would probably say to yourself, right, I'll have all three of those, as an opening lineup. Sit there and you look at Crystal Palace, who has a difficult opening kind of pre-season because of the players being split up due to COVID reasons and whatnot. So, they took advantage of that. They beat Leicester, who we've all just talked about Leicester, what's going on with them at the moment. They've got, a real off-field situation. Multiple players linked with other clubs, players who don't want to be at the club, lost the starting goalkeeper, haven't replaced him, keeping Danny Ward in there. It's a lot, really. So you've got Bournemouth. This is the team that you think to yourself, right, they've just had a good slapping off Man City. Now's the time to go and have them again, and that's exactly what they've done. So I'm really interested to see how if Arsenal come up against a big team and put a good result in, then they're serious. You know what I mean? They're going to be serious, and they have to take them seriously. So, great result for Arsenal. Top of the table, 9 points on the board. And, they just have to keep moving on to the next one. And the big question is going to be, when the going gets tough, will Arsenal be able to keep going? That's what's the real question. Because they had lots of runs last season where they won 7, 8 games on the bounce. But then they came up and the wheels fell off. They're going to have to be able to cope with those situations.
Yeah, the ever-existing concern for Arsenal is not being able to get results against big sides. They kind of had that, but they kind of put it to bed at the end of last season as well. Not facing the smaller sides now, but it is when the pressure's actually turned on, do they crumble? And I think they might just have enough now. I think they have enough experience, but only time will tell. So we'll have to wait until then. Until then, don't expect too much praise for Arsenal because we're seeing all the things. We're saying they're playing well, but we still need to see it when crunch time comes around. So, yeah.
100%. Now, the only team that saved Liverpool from the most embarrassing defeat of the season, of the weekend, is Chelsea. Thank God for them.
Where you at,
Thank Lord. Leeds 3, Chelsea 0. Absolutely howler of a first goal. Mendy, I mean,
this drop off of Mendy.
Can we just take a look at this? We got Arsenal and City. This is a weird table. I know it's only 3 games in, but I mean, you gotta go down
to find Chelsea and United. Oh my Lord.
And Liverpool, to be fair, but I mean, we're talking about this is still a weird table, 3 games in. This doesn't normally happen. You know what I mean?
I mean, this result. I mean, this was just Leeds' intensity was just too much for Chelsea. They couldn't cope. They couldn't cope with it at all. They could not cope with the intensity. Within 8 minutes, Koulibaly's getting himself, in a yellow card for dragging players and getting. It was too much. It was too much for them, and the pressure was there constantly, constant pressure, and they got something which I didn't think they were capable of: a clean sheet. That was massive, huge performance from Leeds.
Yeah, Annie, do you have birds in the background?
No, it's me. It's me.
Oh, it's you. No, it's okay. It's just you can hear it faintly sometimes depending on how.
Oh damn! I was like, is it me? I thought it was me. I was like, wait, do I have?
No, it's weird, and I couldn't tell, but it's no, we're good. It's not that bad. It's just every once in a while, it gets louder.
I think they only do it when I talk.
Oh, really?
Literally, as you talk.
No, seriously. If I start talking, they start talking to me. I think that's what it is.
Oh my god!
Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Too funny. No, honestly, Leeds were good value for money in this. Chelsea didn't perform at all. These statistics, I mean, you can look at it whatever way you want, but if you watch the game, Leeds fully deserved the 3 points. Chelsea had no answers at all. Didn't even look close to scoring, really. I think Chelsea needs to fix this up front, and obviously we've been saying this all summer, as have Chelsea fans. But they need to fix up their front line because we said it. Sterling's not the guy who's going to do that for you. He's a great asset to have up front. Pulisic, injury prone, probably not the guy anyways. But Havertz, not the guy. Ziyech, not the guy. No one is the guy, and this is the perfect time to bring in Anthony. Anthony, what's going on, man?
Nothing much.
Anthony.
Yes, what's up? Are we talking about the Leeds game? We were absolute garbage.
There we go. From the horse.
Can we give some praise to Leeds? Can we give
Oh
praise
yeah,
to Leeds? Just
100%.
like
Brendan Aronson was very, 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 very good. I think even Jesse, we were watching together, and Brendan Aronson, that boy impressed me quite a bit. Rodrigo is having a very good few games, I believe. The last 3 games, he has been really, really good for Leeds as well. To be honest, we weren't at the races. Maybe it's a thing where we haven't really recovered after that draw against Tottenham. It can be so many reasons, to be honest. But something wasn't right when we started that game. We weren't at our best. However, in saying that, nothing to take away from Leeds. Leeds were the better side. They deserved the win. We did not even deserve a draw.
I think. What do you think about this? I do think Conte not being in your midfield. I mean, saying Conte not being in midfield is like duh, like obviously, but it completely destabilizes your guys' midfield.
100%, Jesse. I couldn't agree with you more. And I thought Conor Gallagher coming in there at this moment in time, we have no other option. Conor Gallagher coming in there. The thing is, Conor Gallagher he's all over the place. We don't want a player like that. We want a little bit of a more structured type player. And bloody Mendy doing a madness as well. To be like at the end of the day, that's all I can say. Like, I don't know. Our performance was absolute garbage. We didn't deserve anything. The only good thing I will say, like in that game, is like Cucurella did all right. I think even Loftus Cheek did all right. I think that wing back role suits him a little bit as well. And I think Sterling did all right as well. But all other players need to step up and they need to take a hard look at themselves because they put in a very, very good shift last week. But I think that result affected us more than anything else, to be honest. And also the loss of Conte in that midfield has also affected us. However, taking nothing away from Leeds, they were absolutely fantastic. Great effort by them, and they deserve everything they got.
So, who have the goal scorers so far been for Chelsea?
Koulibaly and
Reece James, and Jorginho. We scored only 3 goals.
I know it's only 3 matches, but it's not good, is it?
Oh no,
it's not good. You know, when you have got players who were, our top players, attacking players, Raheem Sterling, Havertz, all these kind of players. We know that they're not finishers. We're not going to keep banging on the drum about that, but it's just like a centre back scoring a worldie. Which, to be honest with you, I think we can all say it. We've seen centre back score worldies. We've also seen centre back send it into Rosette. It can happen in those situations. Reece James is Reece James, and you can rely on him to get goals and assists because that's what he's going to do. He is a player like that. We all understand that, but it's not a told you so. But like this Aubameyang situation, I mean, that needs sorting out. Chelsea need Aubameyang big time.
I think I agree with you, Dan. And I think I was talking to the boys earlier today, and they were like telling me that the Aubameyang thing is kind of like pretty much they've agreed on the fee and everything. And I think Aubameyang is needed at this point in time. And I think once that he comes in, maybe we'll start seeing some goals because we can't have a striker like Lukaku. And we need a striker maybe a little bit like Aubameyang rather than a Lukaku. We can't have a very static type player the way we want to play. But in saying that, at the end of the day, I still back my team. I'm pretty confident about my team because I just think we did have an off day. That's just how I feel like.
Yeah.
But not taking nothing away from Leeds as well. I think that result against Tottenham took a lot away from us because we do have a lot of young players, and I think losing Conte in that midfield as well played a lot into Leeds' hands. You can't have a 2-man midfield with Leeds' energy. They're going to overrun us no matter what. And I think the Tottenham result, because I think what the players were like, they put in so much effort, they deserve the win and they should have gotten the win. And you can clearly see, like, even I'm not completely over it as of yet. Like, I think that's another reason that happened. But but like whatever the reason it is, it shouldn't matter because these boys should be professional. But you never know. It's humans being humans, I guess, at
Yeah.
the end of the day. But I believe, with nothing against Leeds, I think next week we will see a much better improved team. Hopefully, we
Yeah.
get our signings across the line, and yeah, then on we go to the thing. But one thing that I will definitely say is Arsenal gonna win the league.
Very good. Well, that's an early one. That's an early shout.
Take
Anyway,
rest,
right,
Anthony.
next game. West Ham in big, big trouble. I mean, Brighton, I know, are decent, but come on. That's 3 games, 3 L's down at West Ham. That's not good. That's not good
Moyes
at all.
is in
And
trouble.
they've not weakened. That's the thing with West Ham. They've strengthened. They kept all of their players and brought in more. And the performances are just diabolical. They're diabolical performances.
Just
So
want to
poor.
ask you guys, did that guy Skamaka start this game? I didn't know. I
Uh,
didn't see the thing.
Did he?
I'll tell you right now. No, he
No.
hasn't. And I think this is a massive issue. One thing I will say about Skamaka is I don't think he's quite suited to the Premier League just yet. I think he's going to have a longer betting in process. He's physical. He's big. He's got a good touch. But you want him near the box. He's not great in transition.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's not great in transition. He just doesn't have the raw like speed and certain physical attributes. So I think that Moyes is doing the right thing by not betting him in when Antonio already knows the league through and through. So that's one thing I will say. But no, he didn't start anyway. So
Right.
No, 100%. Yeah, so Brighton doing well. Potter getting a good result away from home at West Ham. Just big problems at West Ham, genuinely just big problems. I know City's the free hit game, blah, 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 but Nottingham Forest was the match to get a result in. They were really poor, lost 1-0, hit the bar twice, had a penalty saved. Everything was going wrong for them. And like this is, get back to home, trying to get a performance in. And they were just really poor, really, really, really poor against Brighton. And Brighton, it's a 50-50 match for possession. I mean, look, shots on target, 2 goals. Shots on target, 3. Nothing. It just shows the difference in being clinical. Of course, one was a penalty, and it was a penalty all day long to Brighton. A lot of trouble. I just think they're in a lot of trouble down at West Ham. So we'll cover the last game on Sunday now, which was there it is, the big one. Man City versus Newcastle. I'm in the mud. So's probably most of the world.
And our FPLs.
Yeah. 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago, we watched a Man City team demolish Newcastle 4-0 with a 99% possession in the second half. Oh, was it 5 in the end? It became 5. It was an absolute demolition. But I mean, look what happens when you have a go at City, eh? Look what happens.
We spoke about this, Dan. When people actually try to play some of these teams, look what happens.
To be fair, to be fair, City should have finished that game like 6-3. Bloody Haaland missed 4 opportunities. He missed 4.
He got one. But he got one, isn't that right?
But then that's the
one.
thing, bro. That's why I call him Timo Lukaku Haaland.
Can I
score one?
Can I correct you a little bit, because we need to just point out something? I'm a United fan, and I'm going to hold on. Foden needs to learn how to score.
Yes.
At the points I would have picked up by now. If Foden just picked up his head, turned it that way, and passed the ball, the amount of points I'd have.
Him and Rashford do the same thing. They try to shoot from the instead of looking up.
It's not about
people
United
on the right.
No, we are speaking.
I
about
said
City.
they're the same.
Stop it.
They're the same. I said the same. I said the same. They both need to look up and pass the ball. No, because Jesse's right. I literally have just watched that game. He does the same thing. Foden doesn't look up and see the bigger picture around him. He decides to go and take the shot. I was like, brother, just square it.
Foden did it. I think Gundogan did it, and I think De Bruyne did it as well. Like 3-4 times they had opportunities to square it to him. They didn't, or they played the pass a little bit too behind. And then taking those chances away, Haaland had 2 opportunities where he was 1-on-1. Then he got 1 more opportunity from like a corner, and then 1 he put away. He missed 3 golden opportunities as well in that game.
But Nick Pope was on job that day.
No,
He
but
was.
then
Pope was on job
he
that day.
completely missed the goal as well most of the time.
There was two that I think he should have scored. Even the one that he ended up actually scoring was kind of like, I don't expect forwards necessarily score it when it's like at their shoulder height and they swing at it. But yeah, I mean, Gundogan had that pass where he tried to play it through to Holland, but he passed it behind him. Foden with the square ball, which he didn't square, which he's done like 3 times now, which is frustrating. But besides that, no, I think Holland needs to be more clinical, but we say this about every forward. See, the difference is when we have our eyes on these strikers, we try to cherry pick. When it takes most forwards 3 chances to score a goal, actually takes most 5 or 6. But for these guys, we're expecting it to be 1 in every 3. So they get more criticism, but yeah.
But that's what he was portrayed to us, isn't it? He can't do no wrong, isn't it? Like, why wouldn't we think otherwise?
I mean, we're all gonna be on him. Like
we're gonna be on Nunez as well, isn't it, Jesse? So it's matter of fact, we have to be fair in doing it having the same energy towards Haaland as well. And for me, Timo Lukaku Haaland is reigning high right now.
This is it. Yeah, I mean, the biggest one to be looking at is there was 2 big moments. I mean, firstly, we all need to appreciate De Bruyne's pass. That was a thing of beauty. Yeah. And then the other side of the De Bruyne coin was the red card that was overturned to be a yellow card. I mean, I'm of the belief that it was a yellow card. We all want to kind of change the future and change the rules to fit our narratives. Do I think that players who commit cynical fouls just to break up attacks should be given red cards? I'm on the fence. Some people would argue that you should be able to, like you can't just break up a play. You can't legally do something. But then the difficulty being is what is an actual cynical tackle and what's just a tackle that didn't go off, that wasn't quite what it should have been. I didn't believe it was a red card, and I'll say for why. There's a great shot of where it looks as if though it's like studs into the side of De Bruyne's right knee. But actually, the angle where it's played on camera just shows that it's his trailing leg gets tapped with the top of his boot. And there was no malice. It was a yellow card, and I'm glad that it wasn't a red. I've got no dog in the fight. Could I care less if it was a straight red for Kieran Trippier? Not really. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me. But the thing is that I just say it as I saw it. I didn't think it was a red.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on.
Trippier's goal, though. That's the free kick we're talking about. Trippier's goal.
The Trippier free kick, that's the one I was talking about. Thank you, Annie. Yeah.
And St. Maximin. Go on, Jamie.
No, go on, bro. You finish, mate.
No. You, because I think you're about to say something.
No, I was literally going to say, big up Newcastle, man. The amount of time on the training pitch Eddie Howe has put these boys in, and just the fact that they literally just took it to City. I mean, every time St. Maximin, was dribbling past Kyle Walker couldn't handle him. The crosses they were putting into the box, you know what I mean? The centre-back just couldn't handle it. And it just comes to show you that, Newcastle, they're going to be a massive problem. I know we can talk about City all day long, but, I think Newcastle deserve like a massive shout out because they were excellent.
They had a great result here, and they obviously should have got the win. Again, but I won't. At the end of the day, I'm not going to jump out my seat too quickly because I'm going to look at, for example, the game against Brighton, which they were away and they were poor. They were poor in that game. So they get their props for today's game. Could have, potentially got a win. Of course, City's quality shone through. The draw was there. Still a brilliant result. If you asked Eddie Howe, do you fancy a point against City? You'd have said yes.
I think any team would fancy a point against City, to be honest.
Yeah. We take that in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Gucci
so what we
need
to do now is discuss the Man United versus Liverpool game. Liverpool are in a right mess, to be honest. Where our form is down the toilet. Do I think that it'll change? Yeah, I do. Eventually, I think it will change. But tonight, Manchester United deserved the win. It's as simple as that. They deserved the win. They fought. They played well. They did everything they needed to do. And they got the result, and they were good value for it. So obviously, well done to United. But Liverpool need to get something sorted. That injury list is far, far, far too big. We know it's temporary. We know losing players like Thiago, Keita, Nunez being banned, Diogo Jota being injured, Curtis Jones being... Yeah, the list goes on and on. I could go on. It's about 8 or 9 players who were all injured, but look at the state of that bench. It's embarrassing, to be totally honest. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead and let's throw this to Andy because I know he has to go here in a couple minutes. So, what are your thoughts?
Dan, I'm not even gonna guess it. I'm actually happy that these guys showed level of fight. No, I'm happy because for once, see, he's looking like he's gonna go crazy. I was like, no, I'm happy for once that these guys actually didn't bottle it. Like they actually showed up and said, okay, we can actually kick ball today. We can actually show you that we can play football. And stand out for me, Malacia. Oh my goodness.
Agreed.
Malacia kept Salah quiet. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then all the McTominay, Martial, when he came on, the hold-up play from Martial, I don't know where he's been, but that's going to be something to look forward to this season. But I just hope that these guys can keep giving me performances like that every week. But like me and Jesse say, I'm worried that they don't. I'm very worried that these guys don't. So we have to see what happens against Southampton.
Yeah,
even props to Rashford as well, I think.
No, you're right, Anthony. I just want to tag on to that. But just as the United fans, like we have absolutely no faith in this team, no faith in the squad. What I will say, and I understand that it's one of those things where you say, well, like it's easy to get up for Liverpool. They haven't been doing that as of late. For the past 3 or 4 times we've played Liverpool in the league, at the very least, I think since the 3-2 in the FA Cup 5th round or something.
Yeah.
They haven't gone up for one of these games, so that was encouraging. One thing I will say is it should be easy enough to get up for a game against your biggest rivals. So that's, I mean, it's all well and good, but we need to see more performances. And yeah, like Andy was saying, Tony Martial comes back. I said this during preseason. I said this before the first game of the season when he got injured, and I said it when he was coming on at halftime today. I said Tony completely changes our front three because it all of a sudden, you if you actually watch it, when Tony plays, Sancho comes in and switches across. He plays on the left, plays on the right. Tony comes out to the side. Rashford will play up front and come out to the right. Like it just makes it so much harder, more difficult to deal with the actual team. And I think Rashford played all right today. I think he made a couple of bad decisions. But I think he makes better decisions when he's playing with players who he actually syncs with because he trusts Martial. So when the ball comes to Rashford, he trusts that when he gives it to Martial, he'll get it back. And when he gets the ball back, he trusts that when he passes to Sancho, Sancho's going to do something with it. I mean, it was good. Honestly, like all signs are positive. We had squeaky bum time there at the end. But
oh, God. The midfield controlled slightly in points of the game, but Liverpool's midfield showed some of their qualities. But Liverpool. No, I mean in the sense of there were moments where you thought, Mo Salah could get something here, or Luis Diaz could turn this guy and get a shot off. But Liverpool.
I'll say what I saw there is that United definitely took advantage of Liverpool's frailties, which is what we had tonight. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Wow, Manchester United were incredible." Because at times I watched the Liverpool team control the ball, and if we had the right players, and it's an if, you're saying if, Dan, if you had this, and of course, but what I'm saying is if this is Liverpool's problem, I'm saying what the problem is for Liverpool, not for United. If Liverpool had the right players, I think we would have got a goal earlier. I think we'd have got a better situation earlier. We needed somebody who could get a ball and run with it and go with it and attack with it. And that's not what we had. We didn't have that. We had Milner and we had Henderson. And the problem is that they're two industrious players who I've got no issue having James Milner at the club because at the end of the day, he's the person I want to come on at the 75th minute when you're winning 3-0, 3-1, and he's just going to give someone a rest and he's going to put a tackle in and he's just going to, he's going to run the opposition ragged, blah blah blah. But Liverpool needed somebody who can get on the front foot, get the ball moving, and just try and break the lines in the midfield, and that's what we lacked. Do we have players like that? Yes, we do. Are they currently available? No, because they're injured. The problem is they're always injured. Thiago is injured. Naby Keita is injured again.
Is Naby Keita actually injured?
Apparently so, yeah.
Wasn't he training the whole week?
Yeah. Now, I'm reading into this more than anything. I don't believe he's injured.
I don't think he's injured either. I
don't think he's injured. I'm of a belief that his camp has leaked some form of information, and this was the end of Liverpool and Naby Keita. I might be wrong, but I don't think we're going to see Naby Keita at Liverpool anymore. This was a message. So. This is a message that was sent. You don't announce you've had an injury an hour before the game like Liverpool did. Liverpool don't do stuff like that. It's not what happens. I've not seen Liverpool have Jurgen Klopp come out and just say Naby Keita's out, but with no explanation. No, he's had this, he's had that, he's had this, he's had that. Liverpool have had enough time. Liverpool's still got time. They have 10 days. Liverpool have got time for days to rectify the situation. I understand that the idea is, and it's this idea of saying that, do we need to replace or do we need to bring in new players when the problems are only temporary? Well, no, you don't, because you don't need to bring in players for temporary problems. But the problems now is clearly we can't be turning out with a midfield that was nearly 60-odd years of age, joint when you added them together. I know that normally they're all 60-odd, but ours were knocking on the 70s. We had a 31-year-old in Milner and a 36-year-old in 36-year-old in Milner, 31. It's not good. It's not enough. We're meant to be going to try and win a title this season. And is it over? It's not over. It isn't over. That's ridiculous to say. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely? No, not really. It isn't likely for me. Can Liverpool play against Bournemouth next weekend and score 4 goals? Absolutely, they can. 100%. That's our next game. That's all that matters right now for Liverpool. But Liverpool have got 7 days now. Well, not quite 7. They have 6 days between now and the next match. Something needs to happen. Something's got to happen.
Before you, Anthony, can I go before you go?
For sure.
So before I go, shout out Harvey Elliott. One of the only Liverpool players that I saw today who actually looked like he wanted to play football today. Yeah. And I said it before, Liverpool, why did you not go and get Nunes when he's at Wolves? You literally should have just dropped him.
He looks so
should have just dropped the money and said, here, Sporting, take the money. And now you wouldn't have this problem. But for some reason, they're throwing all their eggs in the basket for Bellingham next year. And if it's true that Madrid are sniffing about, it's not 100% you lot will get him anymore.
It's too much risk, man. It's too much risk. I'm with you on that one. There's too much risk involved.
I'm out.
So Dan,
I'll see you lot later.
Peace, Danny. Nice one, bro.
Yeah, I love it.
Nice talking to you, Annie. Dan, I got the same question. I got the same question that you asked me about Chelsea. What's happened to your attack?
They're injured or barred.
Because, more than injured, you still have...
Mo Salah scored twice, Nunez has scored once, Luis Diaz has scored once. Our attackers are actually scoring goals. I've got no worries about that. Our problem is defensively. Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold have been shocking.
But for all of that, you still have only scored 1 more goal than Chelsea.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is that it wouldn't matter if we only scored 1 more goal than Chelsea. The issue is... because we scored 2 against Fulham, 1 against Thingy. We scored 4. You scored 3, is that right?
Yeah, 1 more goal again.
We scored 4 goals. Our problems right now don't lie with scoring goals. Our problems lies with defending. Virgil van Dijk has been awful. Trent Alexander-Arnold has been awful. The defence was shocking tonight. And defence has been shocking for a long, long time. We have to sort it out. That is our issue. Our issue is that we need to sort out these problems. We need Diogo Jota back. Can we rush him back? Of course we can't. He has a hamstring injury. We can't get Darwin Núñez back because he's barred for the next 2 games. He's back for the Everton match. Roberto Firmino should not be starting games for Liverpool. His role for me was to come on, here he goes again, in the 80th odd minute when we're already winning the match and basically just giving a player a rest. That's what his job role should be. And instead, he's playing 90 minutes against Manchester United away. It's not how I imagine things.
Yeah, it's also that when you go to your bench, you guys don't have enough creativity from midfield. You guys have never really had goals from your midfield, so I wouldn't I wouldn't point that out. Lots of other teams rely on that. City, United, definitely rely on that. But I think it really is just like the creativity. Thiago in there. Forget Fabinho, like he's out of form or whatever. I don't know why he was benched, but it doesn't really matter. You have a Thiago in there, and then a Carvalho or even a Henderson or a what's his face? No, I'm totally blanking. Who's the kid who played very well today? Young kid.
Harvey
Elliott. Then you guys immediately have so much more creativity in there. But the problem is you play Milner, who's a workhorse. You play Henderson, who's a workhorse, who can pass forward sometimes. And then you play, like, it's just not good enough. It really isn't.
No, it isn't. It isn't good enough. I mean, it's one of those situations as City now and I go, we need someone. And my only hope, and it's like, Danny, you're living in dreamland or whatever like that. The only thing I can say is looking at that bench. My only thing is this some sort of message Klopp's trying to give? Sitting here saying like, this is the bench I have to take to Manchester United, 3rd game of the season. Look who I've got. I've got 2 goalkeepers, Adrian and Harvey Davies. I mean, what's that about? We're on our bare bones. We're on a bare bones of a team, and something's got to change, and we need a step change. We need something to kick us into gear. We need a new player, 110%. Mateus Núñez, if the way that he played against Tottenham, he'd have had a great game tonight. If he'd played like that in a Liverpool game, for Liverpool, he'd have looked he was fantastic. He did everything but score. He really, really did in that game. He was really good. Really brought the play forward for Fulham, for Wolves. But no, I'm disappointed. Really disappointed. But I'm shocked.
By the way, then
not really.
One more question. Isn't like I don't know whether this is true or not. Doesn't Klopp like a small squad? So eventually, isn't it his fault as well?
No, he likes a small squad, but so do many managers. I mean, it's one of those situations where you run the risk, don't you? You run the risk of when you have injury situations like Liverpool have just taken this season so far. We've lost numerous key players. Matip and Konate are both injured. Gomez and Van Dijk should be absolutely fine as a duo, but they're not performing. They aren't performing. Is that because there's no rhythm? Possibly. That happens, when you need 2 defenders who are on the same wavelength, blah, blah, blah. Trent hasn't had any great games recently. Is that down to the fact he's had multiple different centre-back partnership sides? Is it because Harvey Elliott isn't the player who can cover him? There's a lot of questions that you can put to it and say he's not getting the right coverage on that right-hand side, Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's not, none of it's gelling. Nothing looks right. Salah got in amongst the goals, today, having been very quiet most of the match because, unfortunately, Liverpool weren't able to get him into the game because we don't have the midfielders who are capable of getting him in the game. We need somebody who can get the ball and drive with it. Who's progressive and is a bit more experienced. Harvey Elliott, I love him to pieces, but we need someone a bit more experienced. We need someone who's ready now. So,
what would your midfield look like for the Bournemouth game?
Well, Fabinho will start, definitely. Harvey Elliott. I don't want to say it, but it's going to end up being Henderson or Milner, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So there's not much of a difference, is it?
I don't want to say it, but I've got no options. You know what I mean? I've got no options.
Only good thing it's Bournemouth. That's the only good thing about it.
You see, I'm still not confident about that one. That's the problem. But We're lacking these players. We know we've got them available. We looked at that bench. There was a Sky Sports put the camera across and showed the players who were all not available. And you're like, oh my God.
Whatever said and done, you should be beating Bournemouth, whether even if you have those injuries or the players being
no,
out.
100%. We should.
You still
we
have
should.
Alisson.
I mean, do I think we will? Do you know what? I am confident enough. Like, I'm not going to say we're coming in there and we're going to batter him. I think we'll beat them. You know what I mean? I do think we'll beat them. I think we'll get our 3 points on the board, and then things will look a little bit rosier, and we'll sit here and be like, right, okay, we're on to it now. And then maybe things look a bit better. Maybe someone comes back from injury, and then, it starts to just tick in and creep in, and then all of a sudden Liverpool get a bit of momentum. But we need something because we were poor. We were really poor.
You need to do something in this situation. Like, for an example, as me as a Chelsea fan, we are playing Leicester next, but I am not that confident against Leicester as well. But in my mind, like, Liverpool start to the campaign, they're not even playing as well as they did in the bloody, what was that? Charity Shield.
Exactly. Okay. Oh no, 110%. We played brilliantly in the Charity Shield. Yeah. We were really good, and we were really, really good. But then, we've lost a player like Thiago. You lose a player like Thiago, you're going to miss him because we have nobody who can do his job even half as well as he can. Never mind, no one can do what Thiago is. Like every team got two of them. Well, there's not even someone you could go, right, he can do the job. He can do what Thiago can do, sort of.
I get what you mean. I completely get what you mean. But you lost Thiago in the second game. You didn't look convincing in the first game.
No, we lost Thiago in the first game. We lost him at the 50th minute against Fulham.
Really? Maybe I thought it was in the second game.
We lost him in the very first match against Fulham, mate.
And I remember that.
And as I say, so we lost him, at a very important point. There's a funny statistic. It's not a funny one. It's a horrible one, actually. But Liverpool having either Naby Keita or Thiago in the starting lineup won every game but one.
Yep.
Whenever they've started, Liverpool have won. With Keita, I believe we won 11 games out of 12, and with Thiago, it's 15 out of 16. That is how important these players are to Liverpool. And does this surprise me that we're basically, because we have no one, there's no one there, and we have to sign someone. Do I think we will? No, I don't think we will. But it is showing, unfortunately, this looks like it's going to be a wasted season for Liverpool. It's another wasted.
Do you guys want to put that? Are you guys thinking of putting in more pressure towards the ownership to get these signings in?
We do, but they don't listen. We can't pressurize our ownership, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do to pressure our ownership. The only internal pressures, I think, is coming from Jurgen Klopp. Will he be frustrated? Absolutely. Will there be players that he wants? 100%. Is it going to be based on, more than likely, that FSG won't stick its hand in his pocket? Probably.
By the way, I'm sorry if I'm taking too much of you guys' time, but I just wanted to ask a few questions.
They're all good questions. I just, Jamie, if you're there, if you want to go ahead and have your say, man, because you haven't put it in yet. But if you want to go ahead and talk about this game, because I'm not sure if you watched it, but yeah, we're all on there. What do you have to say, man?
Yeah, mate. I think Man United were absolutely top draw. Straight away when I noticed the first 5-10 minutes, I just noticed there was a lot more hunger, in that midfield. I could see Rashford and Elanga, were literally pushing the defence back. Both Liverpool's fullbacks were looking very shaky. They were pushing them back. They weren't making many overlapping runs. Christian Eriksen playing in the 6th role next to McTominay, I thought was quite clever because you got the balance of creativity as well as a workhorse in McTominay. Because McTominay, he ain't gonna be doing lots of forward passes and playing like the Scottish Andrea Pirlo. And Marcus Rashford, he done good. I wouldn't say it was amazing personally because I think there was a couple of chances where had he buried them, there would have been a couple goals up. But yeah, mate, overall, I think Ten Hag, if I'm being honest, he tactically got his team spot on. As Liverpool, it's it's kind of one of them games where you look at their bench and you're just like, gee, like their bench when they're losing this many players is not great. And to be honest with you, this is actually going to shock you guys, but I actually do feel for Klopp to an extent, because he's not really got anyone that he can take off the bench, like to put on to change the game. And there were a few opportunities, that when Liverpool got in, they just were at the edge of the box, but no one was really making them runs. Or when they were making the runs, it was 1-2 touches and then shoot, and then by the time they shoot, the defender's in the way, or the shots getting blocked. But yeah, man, it's back to drawing board for Liverpool, and I mean, Anthony pretty much asked Dan most of the questions about Liverpool, but I've just got one question just for you, Dan, personally. Do you think, and maybe I'm speaking a bit like prematurely, but do you think this is the beginning of the end of Liverpool's, trusted, guard in terms of Henderson? We know Milner's getting on a bit. Roberto Firmino. Do you think like Liverpool need to, at some point, maybe adapt their transfer model to an extent and actually start doing a City, for example, like maybe like for a sum or two where you buy like 3-4 players for big money rather than buying, one big signing and then getting a player for free for 10 million, 50 million, and then like developing them till they get to their peak. What do you think about that, mate? Because I think Liverpool, they do need that at some point, because I just feel like you're going to get further and further away from Man City. Not saying that Carvalho and Elliott cannot grow into them sort of players, but if you want to win now, mate, you've got to get those sort of players in. So I wanted to just ask you about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Firmino's already been replaced. The problem is his replacements are injured or banned.
Yeah.
So Firmino's situation's dealt with. The issues in the midfield is we have no genuine backup for Fabinho, which we should have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a player that we need to bring in. We have no 8 who we trust, who isn't not going to be injured. Naby Keita and Thiago are 2 players who, when they play for us and they play well, fantastic. The problem is their injuries are too much. It's too many. It's too often. We already knew that with Thiago. There's the other side of the pitch. Having players like Elliott and Carvalho gives us something different. Carvalho came on, created the shot that created the goal for Liverpool. He's something that brought us something different tonight. And he is a fantastic player. However, he's raw, he's young, he's not ready yet. Harvey Elliott is the same. He's young, he's raw, he has a lot of talent, a lot of quality, but he still is not there yet. I completely agree with you. Liverpool do need to go out there and put some money on the table. The problem is I don't think they're going to do it this season. I'm not doing it this season. I mean, for me, it's throwing a season away. It's throwing a season completely away. If Liverpool don't bring in some players in the next 10 days, I mean, 1, but for me, I actually think we need 2. I just don't see us doing it. Could it happen? I mean, I'm not being, oh yeah, Dan, you're just balancing the argument. Yeah, I could, could there be something going on in the background? Well, of course there can be, because this is Liverpool. Liverpool's transfers are always like this. We sit here and go, oh, Liverpool aren't doing anything. They're not going to sign anyone. And then within 24 hours, it's like, oh, hang on, where did this come from? Whoa, and Luis Diaz was not happening in January until it was happening. And then it happened. Darwin Nunez wasn't happening until it happened. And then it was, do you know what I'm saying? This is my thing, that with Liverpool, it's not like they've got, they're looking at this guy, they're looking at that guy. And, you know something's going on. With Liverpool, all sorts could be going on. Do I think something was going on with Mateus Nunez? Definitely. 110%. Do I think that Liverpool said no to the valuation? I think they did. I think they went, no, we're not going to pay 45 million euros. It's too much. Which It could be right, it could be wrong. Mateus Nunes might go to. He had a great game, obviously, against Tottenham, but time will tell, won't it? I mean,
But
time
then,
will tell whether he's a great signing or not.
to be fair,
As it's
then just to add on Mateus Nunes, £38 million in this current market is not that bad, bro.
No, it's not, but it's still pretty much, call it £40 million. It's
Yeah,
still a
but you're
big
big
amount of
Liverpool
money for a
football. Yeah,
player.
but then you are big bad Liverpool football club. You have the money. I
Yeah,
don't think
we
you
do,
really have to worry
I
about
mean,
it.
yeah, but I mean that's rich from Chelsea because you spend money like it's going out of fashion, and you buy
No,
bad
but
players
that's
all the
fine with
time.
me. But that's the thing. I
No, but
don't
that's what I'm
complain
saying.
about
Like,
how
just
much it
because we
is.
have the money doesn't mean we should sign the wrong players. I do believe that that you need to be selective within the market, 110%.
Mhm.
If he was the right player, of course, do I say go out and get him at all costs? Well, no, because you start going into different realms and territories, don't you? You start going like, well, they want £45 million for Gibbs White, which is insanity. That's just an
Oh, yeah.
insane number.
That's a stupid amount of
Yeah,
money.
it's a
Yes, I
stupid
agree.
amount, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so Liverpool look to Mateus Nunes, say for example, and say they had in their mind 35 million euros, just for a number in their head, just a number out of the blue. And that's what they believed he was, because the reason they believed he was worth that price is because when you then move into the next bracket, perhaps that next bracket then looks at different players, a player that you deem higher. So if you start going to a point where, we're going to spend 7-8 million more euros, well, for another 5 or 6, you then start looking at players, higher up the tiers. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
No, I
that's where
agree.
that's where I'm at. So I don't know. Then that's my problem as a Liverpool fan. I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know what's going to happen. Do you know
I
what I mean?
do
I
agree
don't
with,
know if there's something
but
going on because something
like
could be going on.
my idea behind the Nunez thing is I do agree with everything you say. Yep, if you think he's worth 35, you should definitely pay 35. For me, I'm not really fussed about the transfer fees at all, to be honest. If I was fussed about it, I would complain about all our bloody signings. That's just me in general. However, Liverpool has always tried to sign players who were undervalued. Like not undervalued, just they found gems and done something. And I think it's fair from clubs if somebody like Liverpool comes and looks at their player and they say, right, we want this player, for them to at least ask 3, 4 or 5 million extra than they want, because it's Liverpool who is asking for it and they rarely get a transfer wrong. So the clubs could be like, all right, so what are they seeing that we are not seeing?
Yeah,
And
it
ask
does
for like,
happen.
yeah,
there's no shame, Dan. There's no shame in, like paying the money at times.
exactly. It's like it's only 3 million at the end of
Yeah,
the
but
day.
it's not
It's
3 million.
Liverpool.
I pluck that number out of my mind. I don't know. Like the problem is Liverpool is it's not like a number of other clubs where you know what transfers you're going for. Like it's
Yeah,
well known news that what players Man United want. Like it's literally out there for the whole world to see because that's the
yeah,
way that they conduct their transfer business. And that's not me picking United. I'm sure I could find loads of clubs, but they're the ones that
oh,
come to my head. The problem
100%.
with Liverpool is because no one can predict what they're doing.
Mm,
Nobody's capable of doing it. The only thing that's interesting, and whether or not this is true, is obviously Liverpool apparently were linked to Caicedo, the Ecuadorian journalist. Who, I
oh,
mean, to be fair, you have to. The thing is you have to trust that stuff because as much as he's from an Ecuadorian, and it's nothing to do with where he's from, but it's like
mm,
because he's from his home nation. The first journalist to announce Nunez to Liverpool was a Uruguayan journalist. The
mhm.
first one who said the deal was done and dusted. So the fact that that wasn't killed with a dagger to the heart means something's going on. Do I know what's
Mhm.
going on? No, I don't.
But like
I don't know.
another thing like that, I was just thinking. But with the Mateus Nunez thing, when there were so many things that everybody was looking at Mateus Nunez, they were very adamant that he is gonna cost any club 50 million euros, and that was no secret
Yeah.
anyway, whether Liverpool was looking at him or not. So we always knew that Mateus Nunez was gonna cost 50 million
My
euros.
my only
Whether
thing can
you're
be my only reply to that can be is that the only thing is if you look at FSG and how well they have run the club up to this point, you have to kind of say is have they not gone for him because they know something else is happening? Do you know what I
Correct,
mean? They
maybe,
haven't gone for him
maybe.
because they know something else is happening, that there's a point of being, that there's some other situation that's occurring somewhere at another club with another player. And I'm not saying, you're alluding to Bellingham. I'm not alluding to him. I'm alluding
But
to,
did you
is there
did you see
another deal that's
Bellingham's?
currently going?
Did you see what happened? Like, did you see Jan Nagafiotov's tweet about Bellingham today?
No, what's that?
Like, it came like a few minutes ago, like it came like a couple of hours ago. He was talking about the link to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid is making Jude Bellingham their top priority. I tend to trust Jan Nagafjotov when it comes to Dortmund news, because
Well,
I think he has a little.
Real Madrid are linked with everybody because they're Real Madrid. We could get a
No,
list of,
no,
hundreds of.
correct. I
If Bellingham
agree.
to Real Madrid makes absolute sense, of course it does. You know what I mean? It's absolutely could be a situation. Am I a believer that everyone should stick all their stocks into Bellingham at Liverpool and not think of anybody else? Absolutely not. Ultimately, would I be happy when it comes to the club? 110%. Is there other players who can do what Jude Bellingham can do? Yes, there is. There is.
Not as well though.
There is. There is. There's players who can really do it better than he can right now. It's his ceiling that's the difference.
Yeah, there's definitely players. I mean, 2 of them just went to Real Madrid in the past 12, 18 months. Like if I'm honest, but let's I think that this is also a really good discussion for Wednesday potentially. Dan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like really talk about midfield.
I mean, I'm loving the discussion, by the way, boys. I'm nothing against anything.
It is amazing, but like I'm saying, yeah, we'll probably go over that because Wednesday will be one of those slower ones taking over. But yeah, like I think Camavinga and Tchouaméni were very good options. Liverpool were in for them, or for Tchouaméni at least. But yeah, I think that's a good discussion for Wednesday. So
hopefully we can. Hopefully I'll wake up early for Wednesday's discussion.
This morning, I was impressed. I was impressed that you did, and Neil, who's usually working nights anyways, wasn't even there. But hey, there you go.
I mean, I wanted to watch this game because I missed the last week's game, because it's been quite a while since I've started watching these early morning games, and after season ended, I kind of let go. So when I was starting to get back into rhythm, and the Monday morning game, or the Monday night game for you guys, which is the Tuesday early morning game for me, is something again that my system needs to get ready for.
Yeah.
Which means, so that's, I mean, I was quite happy about it today.
All right. Excellent. Right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. It's been a really good stream. Great result for United. The losers and the winners this weekend. So, listen, everyone, thanks very much for jumping on. Jamie, Jesse, Annie, Anthony, Twisted in the chat. Anyone who's come and watched, anyone who's come along, like, subscribe, folks. We really, really appreciate your time. Anything that you want us to discuss, put us a message, put us a message there. We'll always do it for you. But we'll be back on Wednesday, same time again for another chat. We will catch you later. Thanks very much. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.